All right, today we're opening the pages of Scripture to a story that's older than time itself. Yeah, we're going behind the curtain of creation to explore the secret story of the very first rebellion. I mean, have you ever really wondered about that? What actually happened before evil became a thing in our world? It's a huge question, right? Because the story of evil, well, it doesn't kick off in a garden with some forbidden fruit. Nope. It starts way, way earlier, in a place you'd think was absolute perfection. You see, the very first conflict, it wasn't fought between people. It was something so much bigger, so much grander, and it was born from just a single corrupting thought. It all started as a rebellion. And not on earth. This happened in heaven itself. Can you imagine? The one place of ultimate light, of perfect harmony, that's what became the first ever battlefield.
This was a war of angels, a clash of celestial beings, a spiritual conflict that would send ripples through the entire cosmos, and honestly, define the unseen reality for all of history to come.
So, where do we find this story? Well, it's not laid out in a single chapter. You kind of have to piece it together. It's woven through these incredible prophetic visions in Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation. And when you put them all together, wow, they reveal the stunning picture of what truly went down.
Okay, so our story begins with this being, a being of just unimaginable splendor. Before there was a villain, you have to understand there was a hero of heaven. His name was Hallel, which means the morning star. Ezekiel gives us this incredible, stunning picture of his perfection. He was called the anointed cherub. Think about that. A guardian of the sacred, whose job it was to protect the very throne of God. We're not just talking about an angel. This being was brilliant. He was wise, breathtakingly beautiful. I mean, the text says he was walking among fiery stones in the actual presence of God. And then, this. This is the moment everything changed. It's found in a series of 5 I will statements that Isaiah recorded, and it all culminates in this one line: I will be like the Most High. That's a declaration of cosmic treason. Right there, in the middle of all that perfection, looking at his own beauty and wisdom, pride was born.
Okay, but wait a second. How do we know these passages are really talking about a celestial being and not just some earthly king? That's a fair question. And the answer is found in this brilliant way the prophets worked. They would use the pride of earthly rulers as a kind of shadow, a metaphor, to reveal a much, much bigger heavenly reality. So you look at Isaiah 14, and yeah, the prophet is taunting the arrogant king of Babylon. But listen to the language he uses. It goes way beyond any mortal man. He says, "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star." See, that's pointing to something so much deeper, a spiritual fall. It's like the blueprint for what happens anytime a created being wants the creator's throne. And then Ezekiel just lifts the veil completely. He's talking about a king of Tyre, but then he describes him as a perfect cherub who was in Eden, the garden of God, covered in every precious stone. Come on, that's not a human king. This is Ezekiel giving us a peek behind the curtain, showing us the corruption that started right inside the heart of this perfect being.
So once pride took root, you know what was next. Open conflict. The rebellion in his heart was about to explode into a full-scale war, right in the heavens.
And just like that, the lines were drawn. On one side, you have Lucifer, the light bearer, now totally consumed by his own ambition. On the other, the angelic legions who stayed loyal, defending the throne. And then, caught in the middle, a third of the stars of heaven, seduced by his lies and dragged into his rebellion. And if you want the most vivid picture of the battle, you got to go to John's vision in Revelation. The beautiful morning star, he's now seen as a great fiery red dragon, just filled with fury, his tail literally sweeping across the heavens. I mean, just try to imagine it. This wasn't a war of steel and stone. This was a war of light and will, of truth versus deception. A conflict so massive that its shockwaves would end up creating the spiritual reality we're all living in today. Heaven itself was shaken to its core. But, and this is the crucial point, no rebellion against the Creator can ever, ever succeed. The throne of God is completely unshakable. So the rebellion, as fierce as it was totally doomed from the very first thought. And so it happened. The great dragon, the same one the Bible calls that ancient serpent, the devil and Satan, he was cast out. He and all his angels were hurled down to the earth. The war in heaven was over,
But a whole new conflict, this time for the heart of humanity, was just about to begin. So, why are we talking about this? This isn't just some ancient, abstract myth. This story is the foundational context for the world we live in. Seriously, it explains where evil even comes from, and it sets the stage for the entire story of redemption. What this whole thing shows us is a fundamental cosmic pattern. It's this: pride, that desire to be our own God, to put ourselves at the center of everything, it always leads to separation from the source of life. But obedience, trust, that leads to connection, to life itself. And this event, it also tells us something really important about God's character. His power is absolute, for sure, and his justice is perfect. Rebellion has real consequences. And yet, the story doesn't end there. His plan of mercy, even then, was already in motion. You know that beautiful title, Morning Star? It was corrupted by pride and rebellion. But it wasn't just thrown away. God was going to reclaim it, and he did it in the most beautiful and unexpected way possible. And right here is the breathtaking contrast at the very heart of the Bible. You have Lucifer, the created being, who tried to grab equality with God through pride. And then you have Jesus, the eternal Son, who showed his equality through humility. He chose obedience, not rebellion. He came to restore, not to separate. He is the true and bright morning star. So, let's bring this massive cosmic story all the way down to right here, right now, to this present moment. Because that same exact battle of wills that started in heaven, well, it now echoes inside every single human heart. The two paths are laid out right in front of us. One path starts with that prideful declaration, "I will be my own God." The other path starts with a humble prayer, "Your will be done." So you see, this ancient story is so much more than cosmic drama. It's the choice that you and I face every single day. So the question is, where will you place your loyalty?